Okay, so in this actually in the syllabus, what we have completed up to in Boolean algebra, we have completed up to that minimization of the Boolean functions. Okay, they may be provided some confused form of Boolean expressions. So we are supposed to apply the Boolean identities. We need to determine its simplified form. Okay, that was the last topic in which also we are discussed like transformation into SOP, sum of the product, or transformation into product of the sum. That other categories also we had discussed, and its canonical form also discussed. So already I've just assigned that K-map problem. I just left it to you for the preparation, because since you have already studied that, so because many of the guys have responded like you have already this has been part of another subject, so that I have just left this topic. So still pending on this, that is Mikulski algorithm. So anyway, just let us come back to that Mikulski later once the complete other parts let it comes close. Then we will come back to that. Yeah, otherwise, if time permits, I may ask some volunteers to just take that problem as a seminar, because it's quite easy. So it could be a good exposure even from your side if you would present this as a seminar. So that may be a good platform to exhibit your teaching ability skills also. So anyway, that's a good practice if time permits. Finally, I'll just call some volunteers to take this problem as a seminar. Okay, that's it can be decided later after the complete model 6 and then model 7 gets over. Okay, fine. Now we can enter into that model 6 and then model 7. Both the models comes under the topic that is graph theory. Okay, so already your topic actually subject title is discrete mathematics and graph theory. So model 6 and then model 7 completely discussed about the topic graph theory. Okay, so here we are not going to fix the model and then we can plan it, and then we are not going to teach in that manner, because once if you start teaching the model 6, sometimes the model 7 topics also may be included in that model 6. Okay, that may be correlated. So actually once if we touch one topic, then we can take rest. After long gap, we will not continue in the model 7. Okay, what I have planned, I'm going to complete model 6 and then model 7 in a same series manner, so that you will understand what is exactly correlated with the other topics. Because see here, if suppose in your model 6, if some topics are there, means certainly that topic will be correlated with that model 7 also. So I should not leave gap that model 7 topics later to discuss. So better I can have the continuous discussion between model 6 and then model 7, so that we can complete in a quick manner. Okay, now yes, the first one. Okay, there you can find numerous applications under graph theory. You can just Google it. You will find many research articles comes under this graph theory topic. You can find the applications in theoretical computer science and other chemical graph theory and bio graph theory. So there are applications, are vast number of applications will be there behind the concept graph theory. So I'm not going to literally explain about it. Anyway, let us enter into the what it is given in our syllabus, like mathematically, how we are going to work it on it. Okay, fine. Yes. The famous problem, usually if you could Google it, you will find the Königsberg problem, so bridge problem. So I'm not going to discuss about it. Okay. First one. Okay. So here, first we need to understand what is a graph. Okay. Here, graph is nothing but you may have the collection of the nodes and then collection of the points. That's it. So here, nodes is nothing but if suppose actually a collection of the nodes and then edges. Sorry. So here you may have the nodes as V1, V2, V3, V4. Okay. These are nodes. These are nodes or points sometimes. These nodes connected by some line. Here V1 and then V2 are connected by a line, that is E3. that line is called edge. Okay, that's it. So this is called graph. Here graph is nothing but it can consist collection of the vertices and then collection of the edges. Okay, that may be denoted as vertices as v1, v2, v3, edges as e1, e2, e3. That's it. So usually the set is denoted as G equal to V comma E. Okay. So next. Yes. So next one is sometimes the same graph is also to be called as a P comma Q graph. P comma Q graph is nothing but here P represents the vertices. How many number of vertices are there in the graph that represents P. Here Q represents the number of edges in the given graph. Okay. For example, you can consider this graph. Maybe sometimes they can give like 5,8 graph means that 5 number of vertices will be there, 8 number of edges will be there. Okay, that is the definition of P comma Q graph. Sometimes you may have only one vertex. So that time it will be denoted as 1 comma 0 graph. 1 comma 0 graph. 1 comma 0 graph is also to be called as a trivial graph. Okay, trivial graph. Next. Next definition is loop. Okay, sometimes they can call it like a self loop. Self loop is nothing but it can start at one vertex, it can end at the same vertex. For example, here you can consider the self loop at V2. Self loop at V2. Here there is one edge, that is the edge is actually E1. That edge has starting point at V2, ending point at same V2. Then it is called as a self loop. So by the way, usually here E4 will be represented as V1 comma V3. E4 is represented as V1 comma V3 because by joining V1 and V3 I am getting the edge E4 as well as I am also getting another edge E5 for the same ordered pair V1 comma V3. But here in this case E1 can be written as V2 comma V2 because starting point at V2, ending point at V2 itself. So this is actually called a self loop, or sometimes they can call it simply like loop. Okay. Now, what is the definition of simple graph? Simple graph is nothing but the graph should not have the loops and then multiple edges. Okay. Here, if suppose in one vertex, unfortunately it will have the loop means then I should not call this graph as the simple graph. Okay. So I'll repeat the definition of simple graph. The graph which has neither loops nor multiple edges means see you can see the previous one. So here the multiple can you just point it out where it has been placed multiple edges?
Between V1 and V3.
Very good. Between V1 and V3, it has a multiple edges and then that is actually E4 and then E5. So I should not call this as a simple graph because of the reason multiple edges. Even though anyway, it should not have at the same time self loop also. Okay. So this is the definition of simple graph. Next, degree of vertex. Degree of vertex, you can consider the same example. Here, if I am going to determine the degree of V4 means, listen carefully, very simple. Don't get into the formal words, what they are given as the definition. You can just see the logic. See here, I am going to determine the degree of V4 means they can denote like degree of V4, or they can use the notation as D of V4 also. Both are same notation only. So here in that case, how many edges are incident to that particular vertex V4? That you need to count and then you can say the number. That is the answer. That is the degree of this vertex. See here you can count. E7 is the incident edge to the vertex V4. By the way, E2 is also the incident edges. E4 is E6 also incident edge. So totally 3 is the answer to the vertex V4 as the degree of V4 as 3. So here the formal definition is nothing but number of incident edges to that particular vertex is called degree of the vertex. Okay, that is the definition. So also it is also to be called like a valency. In chemistry, they can call this term as the valency, because by keeping the degree concept in chemistry, they have one separate branch, that is actually spectral graph theory and then chemical graph theory. In that particular subject, you can just Google it. You will find the applications under valency. There they are applied this this graph theory term only. Valency means that is degree. Okay. So here we are considering any molecular structure as a graph. They are considering that simply as a molecular structure. If suppose if you are going to determine for some molecular structure valency means, then we need to just consider that molecular structure as the our graph theory concept as a graph, simple graph or anyway graph. Then we need to count the degree of any vertex or any for some vertices. That concept is called valency. Okay, next. So here they are given one more point, that is you may here degree of V1 is actually 1, 2, 3. So degree of V1 is 3. Next, degree of V3 is 1, 2, 3. But degree of V2, 1, 2 plus 2, that is 4. Okay, degree of V2 is 4. I'll just explain here. Here there is one rule, there is one theorem is there. If it is needed, you can just go through that. Degree of vertex, you can just simply Google it. You will find the page in Wolfram Alpha itself. That is actually in your self loop. If you are going to count the incident edges, that means a degree means in that case self loop will contain twice the time it can play the role as the edges, because it may reach the vertex in this manner or in this manner. So they usually consider that is actually one theorem. Then only it will compensate one handshaking theorem. I'll explain that in the next 2 slides. So just you can understand here now, like formally what they are given. See here, if you are counting the self loop degree means that in that manner, degree of that self loop will be counted as twice the time. Okay, so here E3 will be counted to that vertex V2 as incident edges. E3 is also E2, and then E1 will be counted as twice the time. So 1 plus 1, 2 plus 2, 4. So that's why they have mentioned here degree of V2 as 4. So next, isolated vertex. Isolated vertex is nothing but, already you discussed about the degree concept. Here, if one vertex is separated from the graph, if one vertex is separated from the graph, also it is it can be defined in another manner. For that particular separated vertex, the degree if you would take, that degree will be 0, because here you can easily guess this vertex will be the isolated vertex V6, because here there is no incident edges. So certainly this is a separated vertex of the graph. So this vertex is called isolated vertex. Next, there is a difference between isolated vertex and then pentant vertex. Listen carefully. Isolated vertex means if one vertex is separated from the graph. Pentant vertex means if one vertex, if it is having the degree as 1, if it is having the degree as 1 means, then in that case that particular vertex is called pentant vertex or N vertex. For one graph, you may have multiple number of isolated vertices, multiple number of pentant vertices also. For example, here I may increase. This is V7. So here in this graph, I can say there are pentant vertices. One is V5, one more is V7. Okay. So here, just I'll repeat the definition between the isolated and then pendant. Isolated means if one vertex has the degree as 0, then the vertex is called isolated. If one vertex has the degree 1 means such vertices are called pentant vertices. Okay. Next, This is the definition of handshake. This is the theorem of handshaking property. Anyway, here handshaking is nothing. Handshaking theorem is nothing, but they are defined on concept. You can consider any graph. You can consider one graph. I can keep consider this graph. Maybe like yeah, V1, V2, V3, V4. So here maybe E1, E2, E3, E4. So this is E5. Okay. So here, what they are saying, if you could add all the degrees of the vertices, you will get the answer as twice the time of the edges. Here, twice the time of the edges means totally here, I can consider this actually, it has totally 1, 2, 3, totally 5 edges are there. 2 into 5, the answer should come as 10. Initially, I can just fix. Let me check. Degree of V1 as degree of V1. Anyone quickly say the answers? Degree of V1?
2.
2. Degree of V2?
3.
Very good. Degree of V3?
2.
Very good. Degree of V4?
3.
3. Next. So you can just simply count. 3 plus 2, 5. 3 plus 2, 5. Totally 10. So it will follow the answer what they are given as the theorem, handshaking theorem. So here they are already applied the logic, and then they have anyway trial and error only they have determined this answer, but it's a good and well and good theorem for any number of vertices. If we could apply the property by summing up all the degrees of the vertices, you will get the answer as twice the time of number of edges. Okay. It will follow the property. You may raise a question, sir, will it be applied if the graph is having if the graph is having a self loop? Yes, certainly true. I can consider one property, like I can consider one self loop between V1 and V1. So that I can consider like E6. So now, can you just try to say the answer for this? What is the 2E here?
12.
12. So here, what is the degree of V1?
4.
Very good. Next. Rest of the things will not be varied, right? So can I write the same for the remaining all the 3's?
Yes, sir.
3 plus 2 plus 3. You can just check. 5 plus 3, 8. 8 plus 4, 12. So that's why here, if they are counting this self loop as the single time only, okay, that time certainly one count will be missed. Okay. For that purpose only, they are predefined in the concept degree itself by counting the self loop edges. Always they are considering twice the time. Hope you have understood on this topic under degree. Is it clear? Have you understood this theorem and then and its brief explanation with the example? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Okay, quickly I can complete the session, so listen carefully. Okay, so next, null graph. Null graph is nothing but if the graph is having all the vertices as the isolated vertices, okay, then the graph is called null graph. So here you can count, you can take a degree between all the vertices. Certainly you will have 0 as the degree for all the 4 vertices. So this graph is called null graph. Next. There is a difference between completely opposite concept between null graph and then complete graph. Listen carefully. Here, complete graph is nothing but you may have the graph in which you may have the vertices in which every vertex of the graph is connected with every remaining other vertices. Here you may have, for example, I may have, I can have same null graph. I can consider one null graph. So from which I'm going to derive the complete graph. So here I can initially I can consider this as a null graph. If you could consider as the just isolated nodes means this is a null graph, right? So here complete graph definition says here if I consider this vertex V1 means it should have the relation with all the remaining 3 vertices. So that means you should have the edge with V2, V3 and then V4. By the way, V2 means it should have the relation with V1, V3, V4. So I should connect remaining edges. So this is called complete graph. So that's what they have determined as K1. The denotation is actually K1, Kn. Here n represents how many number of vertices are there in the given graph. So they are just given the illustration for the same up to n equal to 5. Okay, this is the complete graph definition. Also, they are just generalized how to determine the edges for the complete graph as n into n minus 1 divided by 2. It is not required to memorize, but they have just determined as the general part. If you could replace to find the number of edges for this K5 means simply you can replace n as 5. So 5 into 5 minus 1 divided by 2. So that will be the answer for this number of edges K5. Okay, next. Regular graph. Regular graph is nothing but in your graph you will have all the vertices as the equal degree. Okay, see here you can take a example of this. Here the degree of this particular vertex is 3. For this particular vertex is also 3. So 3. Okay. So now I will just raise one question to you. Is this complete graph or not? This graph is complete or
No,
not?
sir. No,
No,
sir.
sir.
No, it is not a complete graph. Very good. So, but is this regular graph or not?
Yes.
Yes,
sir.
because it is having equal degree with all the other vertices, right? So by which I can confirm like this is a regular graph. So certainly I can close with one generalized sentences. All the complete graphs with any dimension of n can be the regular. Okay, so because it will have the edge with the remaining all the other vertices. So by the way, I can confirm like it all the complete graph for any n is a regular graph. Next, last two definition with that I'll close. Okay, next here bipartite graph. You need to understand that bipartite graph is nothing but you will have the graph later. You are going to split the vertex set. Listen carefully. I'll just explain as an illustration. Here you will have the vertex set V of G can be partitioned into two things. One is V1 of G, another one is V2 of G. Okay, this original graph vertices is splitted as V1 of G and then V2 of G. To split the as two components, there I should apply one condition. What is the condition? Here all the vertices which lies in the V1 will have the another end at V2. Okay, so for example, if I consider this as V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6 means I should split this. I can check this whether it can be a bipartite graph or not. Means I need to split that as two set of vertices, like one set as V1. If I put V1 means another end should be placed in the another set. So V2 next. So V1 is placed at first set. V2 is placed at second set. Next, V2 is placed at second set. V3 can placed at first set. So by the way, V5 can place at first set. Next one is V2, V4 will place at second set. Can you just guess what I have missed?
V6.
V6. So here I can confirm because since it is splitted as two vertex sets, so I'm allowed to split by applying the condition one end in one set, one subset, another end in another subset. If it follows that condition means then I can confirm the given graph is called bipartite graph. Okay, so now here by the way I can consider this is first set, this is second set. So this is first set means this should place at second set. So by the way, If this is a second set means this should place at first set. So here, if this is a first set means this should place at second set. So next. After that, after if you are splitting out, you may check like here in V1, V3, V5, there is no edge between them. In the same set. V1 should not have edge with V3 and then V1 should not have edge with V5. By the way, V2 should not have edge with V4, V2 should not have edge with V6. So that is a concept is called perfectly they are defining as bipartition. So you are partitioning the vertices in bipartition. So by the way, they are extending the topic as tripartition. So if the graph can be splitted its vertex set as tripartition means that definition is called tripartition. Anyway, it is not included in your syllabus. You can just come to know it because it is also included in graph theory in higher studies. If it is needed, you can go through it. Otherwise, not a problem. Have you understood this definition? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Last definition with the
Sir, explain it.
here. Yes, please. Sorry.
Can you explain again?
This bipartite only, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See here, if the vertex set is possibly you are able to split in two partitions by applying the condition. If you pick one edge in which one end should place at first vertex subset, second end should place at second subset means, by the way, you can just apply the same logic between all the edges. For all the edges means, finally, you should have the two number of subsets. That is actually first subset is V1 of G, second one is V2 of G. If you take the sum between that V1 and then V2 means you should get the original answer V of G. Okay. So if it follows a condition like one end at V1, another end may at V2. Okay. If it follows a condition, then the given partition for that given graph is called bipartition. Okay. So also in which if we could take a subset, any subset like V1 or V2, you should not have the edge between the vertices which is placed in the same subset. Okay. So that's the definition of bipartition. Is it clear? Have
Yes,
you
sir.
understood? Okay, fine. Thank you. The last one. So this is completely correlated with the previous definition, bipartition. See here, in your bipartition, what you have done, you have taken the vertex set of G, you are splitted as two vertex sets like V1 and then V2, right? There was a condition like one end is at V1, another end is at V2. That's it. That can be applicable for any edge of the graph. In your complete bipartite, there is one more extra additional condition. That condition says here you may have the vertices. You may have the vertices which subset of V1 that should have edge with all the vertices of V2. Can you understand what I'm saying? See here, you can just see the example. Then you can compare the definition of bipartite and then complete bipartite. In your complete bipartite, you can consider this may be placed at first subset. This may be placed at second subset because it is connected with all the other one. So can you just guess which should come at which set? The remaining one. First one or second one?
First one.
First one. Okay. So here I can say like these two vertices can place at vertex set 1. These three vertices can place at vertex set 2. You may just check if you could pick any vertex from that subset that will have the edge with the other subset with all the vertices. Okay, you may just check if you could pick this vertex means it will have the edge with this vertex also, this vertex also. But in your previous graph, in your previous definition, bipartite, you can just check. It was placed at first subset, right? These three vertices are placed at subset, first subset. These three are placed at subset. If you could pick any one vertex, like this vertex, you can just fix. It is not having the connection with this vertex. It is missed. Can I call this as a complete bipartite graph? This graph. Can I call this as a complete bipartite?
No, sir.
No, because it is not having the connection with all the vertices of the other set. Okay, so that's the definition. Now I'll just raise one more question to you. Is this complete bipartite graph or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, because you can directly pick. This can be placed at first subset. This can be placed at second subset. That's it. Because it is having connection with all the other vertices. Okay, in which if it fails for one particular vertex, like if suppose if there is no edge between this vertex and then this vertex, means then I should call this as a just bipartite graph, not a complete bipartite graph. If it fails for even one edge, means I should not call this as a complete bipartite graph. So that's the definition. Have you understood this example? Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.